Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. How are we?
I'm very well, Sabrina. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm very
Excellent.
excited that we're back here for EventProf's 20-minute marketing live here on LinkedIn.
Wonderful.
So, what are we doing today? I think we opened up a little bit of a Pandora's box, I want to say,
Indeed. Indeed.
with regards to the Digital 2021 report. That we discussed last week. And, we got a lot of love from the audience. We got a lot of love from viewers telling us that these were some really interesting insights that we were sharing, and how that could be applied to, your content, your marketing for your brands or business, or just independently for your content and marketing. So we thought we would keep that train going this week, and that we would discover and discuss some more very interesting trends and data that were compiled in this report. Now, the report that we are talking about is a report called Digital 2021, and it was compiled by a creative global, I would say, marketing and digital marketing agency called We Are Social. And
Mhm.
they did this in collaboration with Hootsuite, which is a very popular and well-known scheduling tool. But they're not just known for that. They are actually a humongous resource in the space of digital marketing. So yeah, we kind of tore apart some of the slides. And today we're going to continue with that. And we're going to talk about a couple more slides and how are those trends and data relevant to digital marketing for you and your business. So,
Wonderful.
what's the first slide we're going to hit
All
everyone
right,
with?
let's do it. Let's jump on to it. Let's get to these statistics, which we are going to use to help all you digital marketers in events out there. So, when we left off last week, I think we were talking about the primary channels for search. So, when a customer or your target audience is looking for information, where are they going? One of the big surprises that we stumbled upon is that the number of people doing these searches on social networks is growing rapidly. So where previously people were only stuck on Google, Bing, maybe a few of you were doing Yahoo,
Mozilla
but
Firefox, I think, as well, right?
yes, exactly. So now a lot of this is happening on social networks. So another reason that we need to be paying attention to social networks is because people are looking for information there. They're not just looking for funny videos, although they are, but they are looking for real information about brands. And this is another reason to make sure that you're answering questions on your social networks.
Absolutely. And it's
Yep.
interesting, especially what is the demographics. And it's quite balanced actually throughout in terms of the demographics of how many people are using social networks to search. Now,
Mhm.
how this simplist or what this simplistically means, for example, is if you are on Instagram
Mhm.
and you hit the search button, you've got a tab that opens up and you type something in to look for it. And a lot of people are starting to do that. They're starting to search specific terms and keywords on Instagram, not restricted to hashtags. People are searching things and words like digital marketing or social media tips or personal branding or event agency, for example, event agency London, event agency Spain. They're actually using it to search specific terms, just like you would do on Google. Obviously, on
Mhm.
Google, you can type in sentences that help you, which is a different kind of search. But
Right.
increasingly on social media platforms and networks, people are starting to search with keywords and key terms,
Mhm.
which gives these social networks a lot more exposure, and what your content or your content on these social media networks a lot more exposure. And what is important here is when you are then creating informational content, promotional content,
Mhm.
marketing content, sales content, very, very important then to be making sure that you're using these keywords that people might be using to search.
Mhm.
So if you're doing a course or a post on personal branding, make sure you put the tag personal branding or personal branding course or personal branding and then event profs or personal branding for event profs, that kind of thing. So people start to kind of search for it. Think about being in the shoes of the customer and the potential follower, and what words are they going to type into that field to find what they're looking for, which is very similar to how Google works as well, except
Mhm.
now you can use Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn as
Mhm.
well. A lot of people use LinkedIn to search in the search field, and Twitter. These, I would say, are the four main ones, and how people are starting to use them as places to search for information and find brands and individuals that represent or are linked to these search terms.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's really well explained. The Just as a warning, I'm going to jump around a little bit because I did this quickly. so, so we may not have the nice flow that we had last week, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So with the search, I think Sabrina did a great job of clarifying exactly why this is important to digital marketers and people working on their brands and their content. Now, we also touched on mobiles and how much time people are using their mobile. So, I mean, as you can see here in 2020, Q3 2020, the amount of time that people are spending on the internet on their phone, they're spending 52% of that from their phone. So, again, this goes back to optimization for mobile, right? I think a lot of us in B2B, we work on laptops, we work on desktops. And so our mindset is really directed towards design, user experience on a laptop or on a computer. But the truth is that we should actually spending more time worrying about how that looks on a mobile. So if you are launching a blog, if you're creating a piece of content for socials, if you're even like the format of a video that you might be putting together, it's good that you've done that for laptops, but really you should be optimizing it for mobile because most people are going to be looking at it through their mobile phone.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yep.
I know I do.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
and it's also interesting because it's one of the things I talk about quite a lot. It's identifying medium behavior and how people are behaving, searching, using, across different mediums. The mediums being social media platforms.
Yeah.
So how are they looking at your websites? What does that journey look like when someone visits your website on a phone versus visiting it on a desktop? Essentially, they're also trying to kind of find the same information. So that user experience and journey in terms of finding the information and that leading to a sale or leading to more information, it has to be set out in the most optimized way, not just on your website, but also on your mobile. And that's effectively what mobile optimization is. It's identifying what is the journey of the follower or the customer or the audience member of your online digital storefront or on social media, and is that then optimized so that you're getting the most out of it when they visit your website or your blog or your whatever page or your podcast website, for example, that you have set up on the web. Because a lot of times, and this has happened to me quite a lot, Jason, actually, where I've gone on a website and it's not optimized for mobile, and then I'm actually kind of turned off by it, or I can't click around and find my way around to where I want to go, or that specific information that I'm looking for is actually missing. So I have to actually go to that website on my desktop, and that annoys me because you could also lose me in that process, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the bounce, you're kind of talking, I think, about kind of bounce rates, and people have very short attention spans. And if it takes more than, I think, a couple seconds to figure out the page, people are going to leave. And very few people will do that step that you've mentioned, which is actually, okay, this doesn't work on the mobile, I'm going to go over to the desktop. It has to be a really important piece of information that they're looking for. So it's very, very important that the upload speed to the mobile, that the UX, the user experience, the user interface, the calls to action, the navigation is all really set out well in mobile. And it can be. These are really easy things to do today.
Yeah. Absolutely. So. And I think one more little point I want to add to that is, there might be a certain functionality that you can't optimize on mobile or do on mobile that you can only do on your website, but be sure to include that information on your mobile site, that if you want to do something specific, ABC, you have to do it from the website online. You cannot do it through the mobile app, for example, or the mobile website, because if people don't have that missing information, they're not gonna, there's gonna be that bounce. And what you want to do is not lose them. You still want to close the sale and direct them there. So it's important to provide that information too.
Yep, exactly. Let's keep on rolling along. And by the way, I have no idea where my timer is. So if it's all right with you, I brought an egg timer from my kitchen. So I think we're on about 15. So I'll set that up.
We're keeping it tangible. I love that.
Exactly. Absolutely. Using props. No, this is trying to keep it fresh. It's literally not working.
I love it. Hey, it is. I think we are good for time, though. I mean, I can see that we've got about 10 minutes, so we're good.
Perfect. All right, so let's keep rolling. So again, I'm just going to go through this one really fast because it kind of reiterates what we talked about on the last slide. And this is the amount of web traffic in general by device. And again, we've got 55%, over 55% of that web traffic coming through mobile phones. So if it's all right with you, I'll keep flipping through because we still have only about 283 slides to get through, I think. All right, so next.
Series, isn't it? I feel like it's going to be.
So next up is the social media platforms and user overlaps. And what this shows us is who using a certain platform, how much of their time they're spending on other platforms. And now the usefulness of this data is you can find kind of what Sabrina calls your power platform, right?
Exactly.
And you can look at what other areas are those people spending their time. So if Facebook is your power platform, you can see here that obviously other people are 92% of those users are also on YouTube. 75% are also on Instagram. 17% are on Reddit. So you can go through, find your power, and see which ones the other platforms that your audience is on.
Exactly. What complements you.
And this is really useful because if you, let's say that you're a Twitter user, right? And Twitter is kind of your power platform. And you're thinking about, all right, what other platforms could I extend my reach into? What other channels should I be focusing on? Well, if you've only got, let's see, the lowest one here is 25% on Reddit. Maybe it's not worth your time. However, you have 86% also on Facebook. So maybe it's more worth your time to share that content, to repurpose that content to Facebook because they're also there. The other thing you could do is say, actually, my content, my people are already seeing on Facebook what I'm doing on Twitter. Maybe there's opportunity in Reddit because only 25% of the people, of my people, are there. So there's different ways to look at this information. It's about experimenting, it's about testing, but it's a really interesting data.
But it's also an interesting way to show you that you should be repurposing your content for different platforms. Yes. So, for example, if you are a Instagram user and you spend a significant amount of time on creating Instagram content, you can see here that 99.8% of Instagram users are not just on Instagram, they're also on other platforms. And the highest percentage of other platforms, the winner that ties in very nicely with Instagram, is YouTube. So this then offers you a fabulous way to create YouTube content. And this could, this doesn't mean that you have to create a vlog with you in it. It doesn't mean that you have to put yourself out there and come up and become this amazing vlogger. What it means is that it's providing you the opportunity to repurpose your content. So for example, if you have a blog, it is perhaps giving you the opportunity to repurpose that into voice content. So you uploading it into a podcast style discussion about your blog that you've just written, for example, or maybe creating a SlideShare PowerPoint presentation with audio underneath embedded that people can watch, onto YouTube with that information. So it's allowing you to have different ways to come up with content and repurpose your content with a platform that is complementary to the one that you are on already. So that's kind of I would say, a huge tip if you are trying to explore different platforms and to increase your reach. And increase and drive traffic and kind of grow your audience through your content. That's one way definitely to do it.
For sure. Excellent. So moving on, this is interesting more from a numbers and opportunity standpoint. So this is basically the world's most used social media platforms. We're starting off with the big one is Facebook. That is still the most used social media platform in the world by quite a good margin too, by about 500 million people, which is a lot of people. Right after that, we have YouTube. WhatsApp is considered a social media platform because you're sharing content with each other. Some people consider it a communication platform. But there are ways of marketing on WhatsApp. We're not going to get into that today. Instagram is the other kind of more used one in our industry, in the events industry, TikTok, and then we get down to some of the smaller ones here. Now, an interesting point that you mentioned earlier, Sabrina, when we were reviewing this together, was that LinkedIn is not on the list. And I know that this is a very powerful tool within our industry, within the events industry. And I'm curious as to why. So I'm going to ask our own question to ourselves. Why is LinkedIn not on here? And we'll try to answer that in the comments when we figure that out.
Exactly. So stay tuned for that bit of juicy trivia.
But this is interesting because Facebook is still the leader. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, those are the big three that we're working on, and those are, I think, for you and I as well. Those are the ones that we tend to produce content for our industry as well.
And I think it also has a lot to do with coverage and reach, yes, and the globality of these specific platforms. One of the things I think why LinkedIn isn't on there is because it might be very, very strong in a specific market like North America or Europe or UK, and not necessarily as strong everywhere else in the world. Let's not forget, this is a global report, right? So how it's performing across the globe and your coverage and membership and people that you have across the globe is very important. And maybe that's why we're not seeing LinkedIn come up on here. But what's really interesting, and this is just a separate point to this report, is they do break this report down country by country, right? I think they cover like a huge list of countries. So, have a look at, the different countries. So if you're in the UK, it's worth going to the We Are Social UK website because they have this version or this report specifically broken down for the UK market.
Your target audience.
Your target audience. Sure. So, break that down because it's exactly the same slides that are a lot more niched and targeted for that specific market. So if there's markets that you're looking at, like the US market, the Asian market, that kind of thing in specific countries, then it's worth looking at that as well.
For sure. And it's interesting. I'm wondering if LinkedIn if they are not providing the data, if it's a privacy issue, because I think LinkedIn has like 700 million users and 600 or 700 million. So they should fall on here. But just to give some perspective, that's where LinkedIn would be. They'd still be falling kind of the top 6 or 7. So let's continue on with this. So this is an interesting slide because this is talking about, again, opportunity. So which countries have the greatest number of people not using the internet? So India, China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Ethiopia. These are the countries with the most opportunity, the kind of untapped market. I think for we're both in Western Europe. The internet, everybody is connected already. But for those of you that are considering these as potential target audiences or markets, there's still a ton of opportunity in these countries.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is so interesting. They do not use the internet to the level that, the rest of the world does. Yeah.
And I mean, so massive opportunity. Those people will be coming online. And I mean, obviously these are incredibly large countries. It's almost, I mean, that's over 1.34 billion people just in the top 2 that are not connected yet.
And I think that's a super, super interesting piece of data or trend, because I never would have thought that India and China would be at the top of this list.
Me neither. Yeah.
Given that I think they are just an incredible, they're incredibly dominating the field of technology and digital. So this just shows you that there's just actually a certain percentage of that population that is doing that, and it's not globally as a country. So that's really interesting.
Very interesting. So this kind of gets back. I'll touch on this really quickly because this has to do with digital marketing, something that's very important for your own website in particular, or your blog. If you're on the socials, you don't have to worry about this because the upload speeds are for them. But the connection speeds are important, and how quickly your website loads is very important for Google rankings, for bounce rates. And so what we can see here is that if people are connected to a what are we talking here? The laptop or a computer. The upload speeds are quite quick, but we learned that most people are searching the internet with their mobile, and so the upload speeds and download speeds are slower. Now, what that means is that your website and your blog needs to not load slowly. You need to get those load speeds as far down as you can, so that people don't bounce off. That's kind of the point of this slide, is just reiterating what we talked about a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's many ways to optimize that. We just gotta.
Definitely.
There's many ways. So.
Yeah, that could be a whole other talk. We lower the size of the photos that you use on there. There's depends on the CMS that you're working with. So there's a whole bunch of things, but it's something that you can probably work on yourself with if you're using some of the standard ones like, I don't know, Wix or Squarespace. These ones, they probably have tools for this, but something to keep an eye on. Check how long it takes to load your pages on your website.
Absolutely.
Cool. So let's keep going here. All right. This is interesting. This is more for web development a little bit, but this is how many people are searching by browser. All right. So which browsers are most important? Now, most websites are already optimized for multiple browsers. But again, it's another thing that you should look into, is making sure that your website, your blog, doesn't have any problems in different browsers. Now, it's really interesting to me that Samsung Internet is at 3.5%, more than Microsoft Edge, which is surprising. Personally, I use Chrome. I use a combination of Chrome and Firefox. How about you?
I use a combination. Actually, I use Chrome. That's it.
Chrome.
Because
Exclusive.
there's so many extensions that I have on my Google Chrome. True. And also there's so many websites where they say that it actually functions better and loads better on Google Chrome, or if you're taking part in a webinar or something like that, they always tell you, make sure you use a Chrome browser as opposed to something else, which is interesting, right? So, I'm on Google Chrome. I've used Safari because I'm a MacBook user, but I have now, I've had for a long time the Google app on my phone, the Google Chrome app and integrations. So
I'm the same. Let's keep rolling through. So most visited websites, I don't know. I mean, we can just touch on this because I think this is more just curiosity than what we can do for digital marketing. But most visited websites here, google.com, youtube.com, and facebook.com. So the top three, I guess within the top three, there's two that can be considered social networks. So again, this is a great place to be. Interesting, twitter.com is number 11 over here. And
Instagram is number 8.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, it is. Nice.
There you go. Just under Pornhub. Well, there you go.
Come on, Instagram. You can do it.
Push through. I love that. It's brilliant what you discover. But you know what's interesting about this slide, Jason, is that the top 3 are all about finding information.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
That's pretty much it. So people are using the web in a variety of forms to search and find information, get updates on events or news, as well as learn how to do something. And I think, that's kind of aligning with the fact that these 3 websites that are sitting at the top, Google, YouTube, Facebook, and also Wikipedia, which is a huge learning tool, are the most visited websites at the moment globally.
Yep. Excellent. All right.
Perfect. Well, we've got a minute left.
A minute left. All right. Let's see. Let me jump down. See if there's one more slide that we can. Okay. Yeah. Why don't we end it on this one here? So this is content. This is something that you and I love. We're content creators, content marketers. So this is a very interesting slide in terms of where is the what type of online content are people consuming. So 90% are watching videos online. We've been saying for years, video is going to be where it's at, and we're here. We're already here. People love video. It's an easy way to consume information. If you can make a nice, concise, easy video for people to watch, it has a much higher chance of getting views than a stock photo or text. Vlogs, music. And then we also get way back down here to something else we brought up last week, which is the podcasts. And we've been talking a little bit about voice and audio. I think you and I both agree that the audio is going to be a very powerful social media tool moving forward. Absolutely. We've seen it with Clubhouse, but I think between podcasts and Clubhouse, it's so easy because video requires your eyes and your ears. With audio, you can be doing other things. You can listen to it as you're working, I know, in my case, I need to go fold the laundry at some point. So, but it's something that you can consume while you're doing other things. So the audio portion of this is very interesting. Online radio stations would be within that as well. And music, actually. There you go. 3 out of the top 5 are related to audio.
And this just kind of sets what I've been banging on about since I had my hands on this report, but as what I've been kind of realizing about all of this is that voice and video are the future. Yep. This is it. If you're creating content through voice or video mediums, you're killing it. So find whatever way you can. It doesn't have to be just you. It can be other things. But if you can implement the mediums of voice and video in order to showcase your content, it's going to be the most engaging, and that's how you're going to be able to market and promote to the best of your ability for your brand.
100%. So are we out of time then for this round of statistics and data?
Gosh, right? I feel like this is such a good report.
It's
and
really nice. Yeah.
It gives so much value, and I think we should just dedicate the rest of March to it. What do you think?
We could. Yeah.
Let's see. We'll break open new content in April. I think that's a great idea, just because this report it gives so much, and it really is helpful to pick certain slides and talk to those slides because they're so relevant for digital marketing, for event profs, and within our industry. And I think, it's nice to see, trends and reports, but it's also nice to be able to have a conversation about it and give it context, especially from the perspective of our industry and what we're doing in this space. So Rahel Fiedler, she just asked, where can we find this report? I will put a link to this report in the comments right after this stream, and then you can click directly and find yourself there. But if you want to go directly there, the agency is called We Are Social. Their website is wearesocial.com. If you click around a little bit, you'll be able to find it, but I'll put the link directly to the report here so you can check it out for yourself.
Perfect. Yeah, it's really in depth. They even dive into specific social networks. You can get information about social networks, and really there's a lot to consume here. I think the goal is to use these numbers to drive your strategy, right? Exactly. So where do you need to be putting your energy and your effort based on these? I mean, you can see mobile for sure, video for sure, audio if you can for sure, and you can really dive down deeply into these to help you set your strategy and come up with the kind of tactics that you're going to use to find your audience there.
Absolutely perfect. And speaking of voice, we are going to be continuing this conversation and talking about these specific slides in Clubhouse later today. So at 1:30 Central European Time, I'll be joined by Jason as well as Ashanti Benteldu in the Event Profs Exchange Room that takes place every Monday to Friday for 30 minutes. And we discuss all manner of topics. Every single day is a different topic. And Wednesdays are for wins, welcomes, and digital marketing. So if you are on Clubhouse, do join us. We're going to be talking about these stats that we covered today for 30 minutes. And yeah, we're going to be, I'm super excited about it, and we will see you there.
See you there.
I'll see you in Clubhouse.
See you in Clubhouse.
Everyone,
I didn't have the chicken come today. I don't know why, but the
chicken, I know. Jason had a chicken in his background.
It's a disappointment. I'll try to get her to come next time.
I love that. That's so random. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. And if you have any questions at all, if you're watching the replay as well, thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, drop them into the comments. And me and Jason, we will do our best to answer what we can in terms of what we have spoken about here today. And we hope you found it interesting. And we will see you in Clubhouse later or next week, same time. Around about between 11:30 and 12:30 is when we go live for 20 minutes. It depends. We're both parents. We have to juggle the lives of our children whilst working remotely. And so that affects the timing, but we keep it real and we still do it and we're committed. So join us next week and we look forward to seeing you. We wish you all a fabulous Wednesday and a great remainder of your week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.